marketing in the age of AI. In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today we are going to continue to explore how the best practices of SEO are morphing in to the best practices of GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization, or as some people call it, Answer Engine Optimization. And my guest today is Chris Rodgers. He's the founder and CEO of CSP Agency, a firm recognized for delivering measurable results through advanced digital strategies. With over 25 years in the industry, Chris has a proven track record of fueling growth by combining strategic vision with hands-on execution. Now that is my kind of intro right there. Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Really good, thank you. I appreciate you spending some time with me today talking about your secret sauce.
Certainly.
Well, so over the last 25 years, you've seen some interesting changes in SEO, but probably, would you say that the transformation to the LLMs is the biggest change?
Yes, I would think so. I think it very much reminds me of the period when we had, a lot of different search engines, when we had Dogpile and Alta Vista and all the early search engines, where it was like this multi-platform environment, and we're kind of going back to that.
Yeah, interesting. So I guess when you start building an initial framework for people when they come and say, "Hey, Chris, how do we get found on ChatGPT?" What's your your framework look like right now?
Yeah, for sure. So at CSP Agency, we shifted to this, what we describe now as human first, SEO, content, paid media, and now geo. It really is that our core focus is on the connection that we have to make with our clients' customers. So it's really understanding who they are as people, what their needs are at an individual basis. So if I had to really hone in on what the big shift is, it is moving away from keywords, and it is moving towards audience person-centric at a much deeper level. And then you can back out with the framework from there, right? We're creating websites, website structure, and content based on those individuals, what their problems are, problem solution fit, right? And then we're expanding that out from the website out to the broader ecosystem, right? Keywords are still important, and they're important clues, right? But they aren't the foundation the way they've kind of become in the SEO world.
Yeah, so you're starting, I guess, at the ideal client profile level, and then psychographics in their search processes. Am I interpreting that correctly?
So we're still looking at things like keywords, but so our approach when we connect with someone and we end up bringing them on as an SEO client, maybe they need AI search services too. We're digging in deep to understand them as a business, their unique selling proposition, right? Who they are, what they do, and then who their audience is. So think about those actual personas. We think about the industries that they're in, and then really understand the specific problems that they have. All that information goes into a foundational strategy before we go out and start executing on those things. And then certainly, as you're getting deeper into that, there's going to be a lot of data coming out of, analytics platforms, out of AI, directly from the clients in terms of who those people are, their, the ideal client profile. But that's how we, start as a core and then build out from there. And then certainly we're going through the SEO process just as we would before, except the foundation is not on the keywords we found in those tools. The foundation is the business itself and what we know about those customers.
I think that's an interesting morph there, right? We've got all this technology, and you're going back to the fundamentals of who
Yeah.
the people are, who the humans are. So how did you come up with that as your foundational space?
Well, I can tell you, I remember many years ago having a meeting with a client of ours. Um, it was a software company called K2. I think I don't know if they're still around now, but I remember this is back when I would still do the client calls myself. I was really excited. We worked with them for, I don't know, maybe like 3 or 4 months or something, gotten really great keyword rankings. And I sat down and I was showing their reporting and their audit scores and everything. And the client was pretty quiet through the process. And then in the end, his name was Todd. He's like, Chris, this is great. I'm glad my keyword rankings are up and our audit scores are up. Like, that's fantastic, but we're not making more money.
All right.
And, it kind of hit me like a 2x4. And I remember coming away from that thinking, man, well, then what's the point of what we're doing if we're not making people money? So
Right.
there was a shift that took place following that where really we started trying to figure out, well, how are we going to actually provide value beyond what these audit scores are? So that became the beginning of that shift. And then as time went on, that continued to evolve. And, probably about 5 years ago, we brought in our chief strategy officer, and he had a lot of experience in this space as well, and had always taken that approach of like this marketing based approach. So we really started more of a deliberate shift at that point. And I'll just say it was fortuitous because we didn't do that because of OpenAI or ChatGPT or any of that. But now that shift has happened, it's put us in a really good spot because we've been executing SEO in that way for the last 5 years, to where it really is focused on the individuals, creating content for people. It's like really obvious in the marketing world, but when you're just talking about SEO, they're like, oh wait, we're marketing. So yeah, that's kind of how that transition has taken place.
I love it, and that you're aware enough, unlike a lot of SEOs who are a little more keyword and back end focused, right? You were more human focused, and you could hear that feedback. That's pretty cool. I'm curious, are there tools that you're using right now to kind of start out and lay out where people are in terms of the answer engines and how you can lay down a groundwork for that?
Yes, I mean we have some legacy tools that we use. So we use SEMrush, and we are using their AI toolkit. We're exploring some other tools. Noatoa is a tool that we're using on the geo side that I do like for some things. We use Lumar. We use a lot of OpenAI stuff too. You have the Gemini API that you can tap into. We've used Screaming Frog for ages, and Screaming Frog is a really powerful tool now that they've got some API integrations that you can do with OpenAI and with Gemini. Start messing around with embeddings, like that stuff is really exciting. I'm not super excited about the tools that are out there for geo, to be honest. They're all, like, a lot of them are pretty high priced, and it is super early, and we're all figuring this thing out right now. There aren't any solidified best practices with consensus, and so I don't know. I feel funny about spending about a bunch of money on a tool, and I'm like, I feel like we should be building a tool. So, I built a little Looker Studio dashboard, and I'm starting to pull in data, but So anyway, we do have some tools, but I'm also not quick to go jump on the high-paying tool bandwagon when I think you get directional data right now is what you get. Yeah, let's go track some prompts, right? Let's track citations. Like I want to be tracking log files. That's something I want to do, and I don't want to pay for it. Right? We're trying to get that hooked up so we can do it on our own. But at the same time, it's kind of like it's still early stages. So I think you got to piece some stuff together and figure out what works instead of saying, okay, well, this is what the tool told us, and this is why you're successful, because SEMrush says you're successful.
Right. Where do you land on the LLM's text file for a website? What do you think about that?
Like, I'm kind of torn. You know, we were doing a bunch of research on it. We were gonna roll it out, but like the consensus, whatever consensus is right now, was like, hey, yes, is it being crawled? Yes, it's being crawled. But is no one's saying that they actually recognize it or that it carries any weight. So I guess I'd put it as a, maybe something, if it's easy to do out the box and you're not spending a bunch of time on it, maybe just go ahead and do it. It's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
But is it going to turn into like another Core Web Vitals thing where people are like, well, you got to do the LMS and this is how you're going to be successful and this is how we optimize it, and they're just using it as kind of a way to bring in business and tell people that you're doing something meaningful, kind of thing.
Right, or that you're wrong by not doing it.
I think there's if it's going to take a bunch of time, I think there's better places you can spend your time. I guess I'd put that.
Yeah, and besides what you were mentioning earlier, where are those places that we, as small business owners, should be putting our time?
Yeah, well, I mean, the way that we do geo is like an expanded version of the way that we do SEO. So we found that there's a number of our clients, like I just did our first case study. There's a number of clients that are doing exceptionally well, and as a general state, our clients do well in the LLMs. But I think really focusing in on the bottom of funnel on your website, right? That is like the first place that I would be looking, right? There is and really common in the SEO space, right? You go optimize your core product, services, solutions, whatever it is, and then you go into a blog strategy, right? And you're doing ongoing blogs to attack that top of funnel. I think a lot more focus needs to now go into okay, outside of your core products, who your core audience is, and how do they think about the problems they have. So certainly industries is an obvious one, and if you can hone in on some industries, fantastic. What are the actual like use cases, right? So if you can go in and start saying, okay, I've got this pillar here that is industries. Now I've got another pillar over here, which is maybe technologies or applications, right? And now I've got a whole nother set of ways that I would characterize my client. Then I've also got use cases. Maybe those are case studies, right? But you're really dialing into the people that you serve. If you have your problems and solutions there too. So you've got industries, we'll say applications, we'll say your actual products or services, and you've also got your case studies, right?
All right, sorry about that, Chris. Little Starlink blink there.
Yeah, no worries. You switched sides on me. So really, instead of just building out maybe one pillar that is your products and services, you start building more bottom of funnel, middle of funnel pillars, and now the way I envision it is like this matrix, right? Now you have this industry and you have this application that also crosses with this product. And now you've got a really strong use case. So it's a way that approach is the way that you can really build out your bottom of funnel to speak more specifically to individual audiences. And if you think about the way that people search within the LLMs, specifically like ChatGPT and maybe Perplexity, but when they're putting in those longer queries, those longer prompts, as a $3 million X business with this, and this, here's our problem. They're getting very individualized. So if you have a solution page that really encapsulates who they are, maybe their industry, and the problem that they have, and you've got that specific solution and you've already called out that page, you have that direct answer that makes it obvious for the LLMs. So I know this is a really long-winded answer, but how do you focus in on really building out your bottom of funnel and aligning that in really explicit and direct ways with the problem solution fits of your customers? So that's where I would spend my time as a starting point. That's your owned media. Then you've got the whole world of your earned media. That's a whole nother ball of wax.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think I like that philosophy, and it is it's kind of like deconstructing prompts from your prospects and then building content that would answer those deconstructed prompts, essentially. So, and I guess you could actually get some help from the LLMs themselves to create some of that content, right? Or at least the structures of the content.
Yeah, I mean, I find that it is extremely useful, like using LLMs in this process. You've always got that asterisk next to anything that the LLM comes back with that might be BS. So gotta always have that lens on there. But yeah, I think that's super helpful with the content. I mean, you have got to have the human brain in there. You better be creating some original stuff in that process. Because if you really just, I'm sure you know this, I'd imagine your audience knows this. If you look for the LLMs to automate your content, it's just going to recycle all the other crap that's out there. You got to get the human in there.
Yeah, and that's really the benefit of what you and I are doing right now, right? Is that we're having conversation, putting stakes in the ground. People can see our images and know that it's really us talking, not just some GIF talking for us. Well, Chris, if people are interested in having a conversation with you, how do they catch up with you to talk about SEO or GEO?
Well, they can visit our website at csp.agency. I'm also on LinkedIn. It's Chris Rodgers SEO. If you search Chris Rodgers SEO, I come up all over the place. But yeah, visit our website. Happy to have a conversation, see how we can help. We can pull some numbers, run an audit, that kind of thing.
All right. Well, I'm very thankful for your time today. Thanks for sharing with me and the audience about what you guys are into.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Have a great day. A beautiful process there. Stay focused on what the humans that you're hoping to transact with are looking for, and then generate content that can help them answer the questions they have as they're nearing their purchasing decisions. I hope that you've gotten some value from this episode. Also hope that you take some time today to find a tool, an AI tool that can help you automate or generate some time savings for yourself in your work or your business. And I hope that you can spend that time continuing to upskill, spending time with your friends and family, or doing like I'm doing in the Jarbidge Wilderness, spend some time outside away from the screens. This is Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.